I'm Devam with Builder Innovator. We're here with the third episode with our CTA series called The Future of Home Technology. I'm here with Tim and Melissa, who I had the pleasure of going to CES with this year. So Tim, Melissa, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure.
Great.
I'm Tim Costello. Along with Melissa, we founded the Home Building Technology Consortium, Builder Home Site, 22 years ago or something like that. And today we run a little kitty advisory company called Built for the Future. We kind of advise home builders and all kinds of companies with a home building vertical on how to deal with technology and how to leverage technology to better plan their future.
And the reason that we go is because most builders don't have the bandwidth and the opportunity to go to the Consumer Electronics Show, but it is really where the world is catching up and moving technology forward, and it really affects us. So we go on behalf of the industry, and we go as press, so we can really kind of get around pretty quickly. And our job is to bring it back into home building and give some context for, what's really just a crazy idea versus what's something that's very actionable, and you really need to be on this and acting on it.
Yeah, it started over a decade ago when we were running the Home Building Technology Consortium. The whole point of that consortium was for the industry to get together to learn how to harness the power of technology. And technology is changing so quickly. And it's not usually the cornerstone of most home building companies. Home builders have a lot to do and a lot of issues to deal with just in the financing, land acquisition, construction, building, marketing. They have their hands full. And trying to keep up with this crazy, exponentially changing world of the technology industry was a challenge. So they created the Home Building Technology Consortium in a way to really filter through all this and help them understand what's next, and more specifically, what's next for us that will be useful. So we started going to CES, and I'll tell you, the first few years, it was really challenging. It's not IBS. You don't show up and have 80 people there or 1,000 people there or 2,000 people there going, here's how you use technology for home building. I remember the first time I went, I don't think there was a single person that had any use case or application in home building whatsoever. And that's changed over time, which is really interesting and telling for our industry. When you go today, you actually do see companies that are focused specifically on construction and home building. So, our job over the years is to be kind of, in a way, sift through the tea leaves. Take a look at what is happening in technology and figure out how that's going to eventually permeate the kinds of tools and systems and products that home builders could use to build better products and be able to compete in the marketplace, lower their costs, et cetera.
Yeah. And we saw a ton of different things at CES. And to cover everything in a shorter webcast would be nearly impossible. I think we could probably go for 4 hours. So what are some major themes that we saw at CES that are pertinent to the home building industry?
So you've seen my list of my 50 top takeaways from CES. We're not going to talk about those today.
I think we should start with AI, because I think that is topical and that is permeating the home building industry, and especially in the marketing realm. It's interesting. Build Pro did a study, and they did say 35% of builders were using AI in some form or fashion, or said that they were, but 95% of that was in the marketing area, right? So it didn't get into land development and construction and all of those other areas. So we have a long way to go. And I would say the difference between last year and this year when it comes to AI, last year there was a lot more trepidation, anxiety, fear, and a lot of theory about how we potentially could use AI in a few little spot cases here and there. And it's real now. There are companies that are really using AI, and they are using it to transform their businesses and become much more efficient. So you still have the legal, ethical considerations, which frankly you should have with anything that you do in your business, but there's a lot more adoption. And I would say it's getting to the point now with our builders that some are going to really take hold of this and some are already, and they're going to accelerate. And it will be very tough to compete if you don't step up and really embrace this. The NVIDIA CEO made a really interesting comment at his keynote. He said, as we move forward with AI, you're going to become like an HR person. You are going to go find the agent for a task, and you're going to hire these agents and employ them. And then you have to train them just like you do employees. And then you have to monitor, right? Just like you do employees. But he said it's a very different twist as we move forward. But there are tremendous opportunities for us across many phases of home building.
Yeah, I mean, another area certainly we have talked about is autonomy and robotics. Look, AI permeates everything. So it's not even that. So AI is a separate subject, right? And I'm a bit of a skeptic. There is a technology innovation adoption curve that's, everybody's seen before, where there is this new technology comes out, it grows and grows in popularity until, you just are at the top of the hype cycle. And then it falls off the cliff. Everybody's very disappointed that it didn't change the world. And some technologies just go to die after that, and others then slowly climb their way out. And I think AI, to a certain extent, is, past cycle. And now it is slowly trying to figure out how to climb its way out. And you start to see that where people then starting to use AI in practical means that actually provide value to real users. With that, then that's why you see autonomy and robotics. Autonomy and robotics would be impossible if you didn't have AI. So AI is actually helping us create useful autonomous and robotic companions. And you see that through a variety of different products at CES now that are really accelerating their usefulness and creating new market segments, because they're integrating a whole bunch of things. And it's not really just AI, it's AI, sensors, chip, the cloud, and IT infrastructure. It's really all of these things coming together, because AI is useless unless it has data. So how do you get data? Well, you need low orbit satellites, and you need the cloud, and you need, if these things didn't come together, you wouldn't really have this kind of explosion in technology. So it's really all this stuff coming together. By the way, none of which builders care about at all. They don't care about chips, and they don't care about satellites. They care about home building. So how do we take this stuff and apply it to something that's useful to them? I'll be really specific. What's useful to them? A robotic security vehicle, whether it is a robotic dog or a track-driven vehicle that can wander around the construction site to make sure their material isn't being stolen at night. That's useful, and they can do it now. So if you want to enhance your site security, you can actually do that. In fact, they've taken it a step further. They have security systems that are actually active. And what I mean by active, they'll turn on red and blue flashing lights like a police siren. They'll launch drones and have drones chase the people down and take, up close pictures of them, right? So all of this is because chips have gotten better, batteries have gotten better, robotics has gotten better, AI has gotten better. It's all gotten smaller. It's all gotten cheaper. So as a builder, we've got to start thinking, is material loss on site something that's interesting to me? And if it is, then can I now start to apply these new technologies in that area?
Some of the things that you'll actually hear us talk about even later on in this, that's just the start. And sometimes when technology is advancing, especially in AI, it's not a gradual line that goes straight up. It's an exponential curve. When things finally click, things become a lot more affordable. They become mass production based. They're able to ship them out a lot faster. And when things happen like that, then you may end up just missing that curve entirely. So a lot of the things that we may talk about may seem, further down the line, but we don't actually know how much further down the line. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 1 year. And I think that's like a very special thing that we realized at CES. And from what you have told me about the year prior, is that even from there to here, there's been a significant jump. And I think, looking at some of the other things that we're going to talk about, tech in the human condition, or how we use tech and, this advanced technology in our actual homes, you can see that drastic jump already.
What I don't want to talk about with AI is the 99th way we can create marketing content, but creating a digital twin of your organization that actually integrates all of your trades, all of your labor, all of your suppliers, all of your material, and all of this is actually in a digital model that can be simulated. And an AI agent can sit there and run 100 million permutations of weather patterns and delays to optimize how you schedule your home being built. Well, that's important to a builder. That can be the difference between a 90-day build schedule and a predictably 60-day build schedule, and that lowers the cost of housing or that increases the margin of a home builder. Digital twins have been talked about for a long time. They rely on AI or they don't work. Again, AI schmai. I don't care about that. What I care about is faster build cycles. When we were at CES, we saw companies with digital twin tools, platforms for physical objects like in construction companies. So you could actually begin to build without having to do a PhD thesis. You could begin to build a digital twin for your business. I think that's transformative. And sometime this year, somebody is going to start to build a digital twin of their home building operation. And I guarantee you that an AI agent will be able to schedule construction 1,000 times better than any builder can schedule their own construction.
I think a couple of other pieces are in terms of design and architecture, and it's getting smarter and smarter so that even a layperson can sit down and kind of construct, well, here's the home that I want, and it will draw the floor plans for you. It will do the architectural drawings for you, or you can come in and make changes and edits. And for those who are intimately involved with architecture, it's not been that way in the past. So I think the opportunity to do that is pretty exciting. And then when you couple that with, just the computing power and the fact that rendering time is not, what it used to be. I mean, we used to have to wait days sometimes for virtual reality tours to compute and render. It's happening very, very quickly. And to Tim's point, it's not that you care about that function, but having the ability to sit down and quickly make a change and have it show up immediately is really powerful. That is transformative.
Real-time rendering, which is a reality today because of AI and advancement in chip technology, allows you to have the entire universe of materials and textures available to your home. And in any moment, you can decide to offer any combination of them, and it will instantly render your home. No more having to send this stuff out to be rendered for, weeks, months, having it all come back. You don't need to do any of that anymore. And that is a huge advancement, from the marketing perspective. But I'll give you another area, AI, and that is voice-to-voice translation. So it used to be that our models, we would go voice to text, and then we would have to take text back to voice, and it was clunky. Now you can get earbuds that will just instantly translate voice to voice, any language to any language. And you think about our workforce that we have and the challenges we have communication on the construction site. But if any one of our employees can effectively communicate with any other employee at any point in time, that is a real breakthrough for home building. So I look at that and go, that alone is worthwhile.
I had a lot of conversations this week on international buyers, right? And sometimes the language is a challenge, but that applies there too, right? You can quickly work through those barriers, if you will.
I saw two other, interesting applications of AI for home builders specifically. One is identification of off-market land. So they were taking public record data, they were taking satellite imagery, they were taking all of the traffic and the tax data, and they were able to find all of the off-market land and who owns it, and actually establish then what you could build on it, how densely you could build on it, what your ROI on the land would be, and how much you should offer for the land. I mean, and you can sit there and go, yeah, that's what I do. I don't need an AI agent to do that. But if you live in the LA basin, it's huge. How can you know? I mean, it will use satellite data to figure out what parking lots don't have very many cars in them, which means it's probably an underutilized, undervalued strip mall. Therefore, you could buy this strip mall, tear it down, and put in multi-use development there, with housing. I think there are some incredible opportunities for infill builders, urban renewal, even suburban builders looking for unique pieces of land. So I thought that was a really interesting one. There's another application where they were doing dynamic pricing. So by using telemetry, cell phone and mobile data and beacons, et cetera, they're figuring out how wealthy are the people in any part of town so that you could better price your homes. So, we kind of guess a lot of times of what homes should be priced based on what other builders are selling in the area. Well, what you really want to know is who's driving around there? What's their income? And how much do they make? Are they single? Are they married? Blah, 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 blah. And they actually have all of this data today and can synthesize it and can actually lay that topography, that layer over your map to understand what kind of economic means the people are that are in that area. So this really can start to change the sophistication of how we buy land, how we price, what we're willing to pay for it, what we build, how we price our products. And this is all well before we even start constructing with digital twins, and then, how we actually have to design our products on top of that.
So I'm going to take us in another direction. So I am Pollyanna. I am always glass half full, aspirational. Look at what you can do with this stuff.
Yeah, me too. That's what they always say about me.
I know they do. You really got to toughen up. But there's also, when you look at tech, you can sit there and go, oh, well, if I do that, that's really great. The other challenge I think with tech is that sometimes if you don't act, it's actually detrimental, or technology is going to be doing something to you and your business that if you're not aware or you're not prepared, it can be quite catastrophic. And, a good example of that with AI is on the area of search. So, we've gotten all very accustomed to the fact that people go into Google and they type in what they want for their home. So we're all really good at SEO on our websites. Well, not everybody, but we should be good on our SEO. We advertise with the major listing sites that are out there. We do PPC. We kind of know this, right? But AI is going to change that. If for the first time, there was a stat that came out, Google searches were less than 50% of searches. So people aren't searching on Google. Well, they are, but 50% are going elsewhere. They're going in social media channels. They're going into their AI engines, go into ChatGPT and just say, hey, who are the best builders in Austin, Texas? It will give you with just great clarity and surety that it's these 3 builders. And they'll spit out something like Lennar, Taylor Morrison, and Meritage. Okay.
Yeah,
and if you're
unfortunately, it will give you an answer with incredible certainty, whether it has the information or knowledge or not. That's right.
It's very, very arrogant from that regard. And the challenge is that's not based on what defines the best builder, right? And if you happen to be one of those and get served up, that's great, but you have no assurance of that. So it is incumbent upon us to understand that shift, and how are we going to get ready? How are we going to make sure that when someone goes in these different search vehicles now, are we equipped? Are we going to show up?
Yeah. We're not there yet, but Perplexity, which is an AI-based search engine, right? It's a little bit different than Google, where you ask a question and it gives you a list of things and you're supposed to go do the work. Perplexity, you're supposed to ask it a question and it gives you the answer. The future of AI search and marketing will be, hey, I've got this much money. This is where I work. Should I buy a home? And if so, what home should I buy? Right. And I actually want it to go, well, I found 5 homes and I think this one would be the best. Or it's going to ask you a bunch more questions. Hey, I'm going to show you 3 different pictures. Tell me what kind of style you are. Right? It's going to be like the best real estate agent in the world. And it's going to cut through all that. It's not going to show you the 1,200 homes that are on the MLS. It's going to say, I found 5 for you and I think they're really great.
It would be remiss for me not to mention DeepSeek. And kind of using what you were talking about, Melissa, is there's a button that's deep thought. And if you click on this button, it will actually read you the prompt of what the AI chatbot is telling itself that you are looking for. And you will be absolutely surprised on how detailed and human it actually is. Maybe the user wants this. Actually, never mind. If I go back to what he had said earlier, then I'm going to adjust based off of this. Here are some options. Actually, I'm going to go in this direction instead. And it's incredible.
But it's just evolving very quickly. And the question is, are we going to be left in the dust because we're still planning our marketing and how to be found in a very archaic way?
So I'm going to pull us back down to the more practical again. I did when I was visiting Samsung's booth in their smart things area. So Samsung has a variety of apps that they include, but there were 2 I thought really interesting AI apps for home building. One of them was you just use the camera on your phone to take a picture of the room and it instantly creates a floor plan for you. If you're trying to buy a new home, right, you kind of want to walk away with the floor plan, digital, so you can start to play with it. And what's the next thing that you want to do? You want to put all your furniture in it. Well, Samsung's has also a furniture placement tool that allows you then to take furniture and place it in that floor plan. And it has a tool that 3D generates through AI your furniture. So you simply walk around your furniture, take a picture of it. It creates a little 3D model of your furniture. And now you can actually start to place your specific furniture in the floor plan. So you think about kind of the creative engagement that you would have with consumers if you would grab these things and use these. And you don't have to create them yourself. Right now, you can just use them. These are tools that are just available. And I would think that consumers would kind of be sucked down that vortex, right, of engagement, playing with your product and their furniture and planning how they're going to live in your home. To me, that's a really powerful, way to use AI as a home builder, and very practical. This exists. You can go out there on the Play Store today, or Google or Apple Store, and you can go get these things today.
Let's talk about tech in the human condition. We started to see this a couple of years ago, and it got louder last year. And then this year, it's just the home takes care of you. The home as, the caregiver, and monitoring your health and helping you with health. And that is so important. Every year, boomers are getting a little bit older and a little bit older, and they want to stay in their homes, and they have all the money in the world, and they will pay for whatever it takes to stay in their home. And just the technology has gone off the charts. I mean, there are things like a mirror where you can stand in front of the mirror and it will tell you if you've got heart issues. It'll measure other vital organs. I don't want to be too gross, but the toilet will analyze human waste products and tell you other things that you have going on, which is frightening. There's even a water dispenser that, based on who you are, it will dispense the right pH levels and the minerals that you need, and they customize that for each person in the home. It's so here. And I think builders who would offer that integrated and kind of ready to go would just kill it.
I think it has huge, obviously, implications for aging in place or senior living and issues like that. But what you're really starting to see is it also has ramifications for everybody. It's not just an aging in place. I don't want to downplay the aging in place, because I think we have an aging society. A large portion of our aging society lives by themselves, right? So technology can play a huge role to make sure that they're well cared for and looked after and not suffering, any medical event. If you kind of knit together the last 5 years of CES, there has been an incredible progress made in the integration of technology with medical devices and remote sensing, like you're saying. So I keep looking at this as the future of, will we really be building a passive medical clinic in every home? Our home is not a place just to live. It's not a physical shelter to protect us from the environment, but it actually improves our health and how we live. It makes sure I sleep well. It makes sure it monitors me constantly for disease or issues or concerns. Eventually, our homes become, in a way, of these minute clinics. But it's not a minute clinic. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week clinic. It just constantly monitors me and improves my human condition. And we are not there yet. So I'm not telling builders, oh my God, you got to go build this tomorrow. But if you put the tea leaves together of the last 5 years, it seems like we are really headed there. And today we have these disparate devices, like you said, Melissa. We got that toilet, we got that mirror, we got this thing over here, we got the ring over here. We have all these things. I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see that integrated together into an ecosystem. And that ecosystem then is going to be embedded into some kind of home health system that will have to be deployed inside our residents and our homes. And I think new home builders are really well positioned to take advantage.
Totally. When you look at kind of AI in other industries, AI, hands down, they've done studies, they do a better job when a patient comes in and presents their systems. They do a better job at diagnosing, just because they have the vast universe of knowledge. But why couldn't you have that in your house, right? Like, why do you have to actually go all the way over? And why do you have to proactively reach out and schedule a telehealth, which is, still in.
It actually asks the question, why do you have a checkup date? You should get a checkup every 3 years or every 2. No, I'm getting a checkup every 22 seconds for the rest of my life. That's interesting, because then you can really start to see subtle changes, right?
Is it going to tell me I have to eat broccoli like every day? Like, I mean,
It
I
probably
need to
will
hear
tell
that
you every
every
day
day.
that you need more broccoli.
Well, that's when technology's just gone too far. Too far.
No more Haagen-Dazs bars for you.
Well, I think we have gotten to the major topic that we saw at CES, which is the whole home ecosystem. So we touched a little bit upon it on, getting these checkups constantly, but we actually saw that somewhat on stage, from LG, from Samsung, from TCL. We saw these stories actually play out in their keynotes where the AI engine that is now operating and connecting all the devices in the suite are able to check in and adjust their specifications and features for what is happening around the house.
This is something that you have to look at over 10 years. 10 years ago, when you went to the show, you had large TV and home appliance brands at the show, and they were all disparate products. Over time, sure, they've gotten more sophisticated, and then they got connected, right? But they didn't know what to connect. And now they're becoming integrated into, just as you said, an ecosystem. So these large brands, Samsung specifically and LG, I think really are the two that are leading, this thing. And then you have these up and comers like, TCL and Hisense and Cheng Hong. They're kind of just following them very aggressively, from behind. But these big brands are really trying to create a technology ecosystem for the home where the television is the control center for the home. It's not just a screen for entertainment. It's actually the control center for the home, right? If your doorbell rings and you're watching TV, it's there. If there's security issues coming up, they come there. It becomes kind of the master control center for the home. And the software is going to then integrate through all of these different devices. The systems don't play well with each other, but that was a really major step change this year, partly driven by Matter. But I think Matter has really driven everybody to realize we need an open ecosystem so that I can bring any technology component and just kind of glue it into the ecosystem. I don't have to buy all of one brand. I think for builders, this is a sea change. We normally buy a water heater from whoever, we can get a water heater from, and we buy an HVAC system from another company. I think this is going to drive us to have to rethink how we approach all of the devices within our home. I was most impressed by LG. They have that smart cottage concept, which is an entire home that LG created. And it will be interesting to see how much pressure these large brands end up putting on home builders to really rethink the architecture, the technology architecture of their homes, because we are right on the edge of that, I think, at this point.
Yeah, and I think the way that it's getting scaled up is also important. I'll use a very simple example of playing music in your car, is that sometimes when we look at these home ecosystems or what's coming up, where we're saying, it's still not a big deal. I'll get a water heater from this person. I'll get a washing machine from this person. But let's take this example as you wanted to play music in your car maybe 10, 15 years ago. Okay, you wish you had Bluetooth in your car. Then you got Bluetooth in your car. Then AirPlay came out. Then you wanted to get AirPlay. Then you wanted to get AirPlay that was Bluetooth enabled and not use the wire. And how many times have you sat there saying, I wish I got the next version of the same car I have because that one had Bluetooth with AirPlay, or that one had Android Auto, or that had something else. And so when you think about how technology has affected your life, in the moment that it's not in front of you, it doesn't seem that important. But the second it does get in front of you, it can 100% be the most inconvenient thing to not have thought about it ahead of time. So you have two different appliances from two different manufacturers, and they figured out a way to develop an ecosystem to manage all of it. You're always going to look at that one device that doesn't fall in the ecosystem and always say, why did I not pre-plan for this the first time?
What happens, Devin, is you start to look at the future and you go, you could build a home that would produce its own energy, store its own energy, and on its own arbitrage the sale of that energy at peak times back to the utility company, paying me money every single month because I own a home. I don't have a utility bill. I have a utility income stream coming into my home. When I show up at the home, it monitors everything about my health 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, making me healthier every single day I live in that home. When I'm gone, it knows I'm gone. It's managing the utilities. It's managing the security, right? It's monitoring leaks within the home, right? You can start to envision a very different relationship with your home. This is an asset that I use that improves the quality of my life forever and provides me an income stream, and has taken all of the work of home ownership away. LG has this saying of the labor-free home. And you start having, the robot lawnmower and the robot mop and the robot pool, cleaning machine, right? That are all, they're doing this. And we're not very far away from general purpose robots that are going to pick up, loose items and put them away in the home and actually fold laundry and do all of that as well. So it's a really interesting exercise to sit here and go, okay, I know I maybe can't do that today. And a builder will say, you can't do all that today, Tim. That's crazy. Yeah, no, I know that. But is that 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10? How far out is it? And how do I prepare my staff, my trades, my business to lead that next leap in what a home really can be and what our relationships with home can be? That to me is kind of the most interesting question that I think, CEOs need to be, and owners need to be asking themselves. Are we prepared for this transitional pivot point where the home and in our relationship with the home is fundamentally changed because of technology?
Well, and maybe you stair step it, right? So can you start stepping in that direction? And maybe you don't have the whole home ecosystem, but you get some of the subsystems. You kind of start to step into that. I think, that's a little bit more palatable. And oh, by the way, there is Roborock vacuum that picks up socks.
Yes, yes, there is. Has a little arm that comes out.
I know. It's just the cutest little thing.
Yeah. And I think with all of this is, and especially being on the media side of things and reporting on, smart technology or innovation in home building, listen, we can tell you this in every webcast. We could write this in every blog. You could read every newsletter. You could come to every industry panel that's put together. It does pay off to actually see it in action yourself. Until it happens to you, until it physically is in front of you, it's very difficult to figure out the gravity of the situation. And which is why I think it's very important for builders to go to CES. There's a larger footprint of builders this year. We saw it at the Smart Home Mixer. And I'm sure that there will be more that attend because, like we said, we don't know how fast this is going to develop. So it's good to get on the ground floor and just see what's available. And then the same way as going to other industry events and getting out there and physically being in the space, in the environment, around others who are like-minded, wanting to integrate new technologies or understand what new technologies are out there to help them strategize better, as Tim was saying.
Yeah, Devin, the home's important because it's the ultimate repository of where humans will interact with technology. We spend more time in our home than our car. We spend more time at home really than anywhere. So whether it be digital health or digital entertainment or digital security or energy management, right? In the end, that's all going to reside in the home. And that's why thinking about technology and the design and the architecture of the home of the future is so critical.
I think at the end of the day, it isn't actually about the technology. It's about the customer and the experience and their expectations. And we're swimming in this, right? And as a builder, maybe you're not swimming in it. Your customers are. Your consumers are. Gen Zers are definitely swimming in it. And so it's really about being ready to meet their expectations. Because to Devin's point, once you see something and it's really cool, you can't unsee it. You will want it.
Taking it the last step forward is the technology is saving us time. It's making things more affordable. It's giving us the ability to do more and have more time for our families. It's more time to relax, more time to spend with loved ones or do other things around the house. It's getting rid of the menial tasks that make life difficult and giving you more time back to do the things that are actually worthwhile doing. So as builders, you're building homes. I always say this, you're building a place where these people are going to be creating their own stories and memories. You owe it to them to be able to do that comfortably and to do that with more time.
And I think it's important to say, we have great empathy that it can be hard, and we have great empathy that we don't want to trivialize, that, hey, you should go do these 100 things, but it is shifting sand out there with consumer expectations and what is available and what's possible. And so it's really about consciously being aware, and then you may decide not to do some of these things. You won't do everything, but don't not do them because you never knew it was possible.
And I think that's a great place to end off. If there's anything that you found very interesting here, if you wanted to find out more, we have a bunch of things on builderinnovator.com. We did a whole on-the-ground reporting at CES. We have other things that we captured at CES. And Tim and Melissa are both track chairs for our Orlando summit, for the Builder Innovator Summit. So if you would like what you hear, there's a great chance if you're a builder in any of the 6 categories that we cover, feel free to check out the events and see if you can apply to attend, because it's a great place to get started. It's a difficult industry. It's very difficult to see the scope, but I think at the summit, you'll be able to see things a lot more clear. And then obviously, if anything was interesting to you, you should definitely go to CES 2026.